The first thing that I remember is waking up in the car. I was lying on my right side across the back seat. I sat up, and my Uncle Jimmy was crouched down in the foot area. He was a volunteer firefighter for that area and responded to the call. I was surprised to see him and asked him what he was doing there and what had happened. He told me that I had been in an accident, but was going to be fine. He was holding my hand. I said, "Oh, okay," and laid back on the seat. I remember clearly thinking, I am lying my face down on a bunch of broken glass and I don't even care. That is very strange. I had noticed that everyone else was gone and I did not care about that either. Then there was a loud grinding noise and sparks. Uncle Jimmy said that they were cutting the door off to get me out, then black. He told me later that I had been conscious the whole time talking to him. They all thought that I was fine and they left me to the last. You have to understand that we were way out in the country, we were all farm-grown kids, so they had to choose who went first as they only had a couple of ambulances at that time. I do not remember anything other than that about 1 minute. He also told me that when the ambulance attendants tried to pick me up that no matter where they touched me it hurt so much. He said that I took control and told them to put the board beside me in the car. I did a one-handed push-up and directed them to slide the board under me, so they did that and took me away lying face down on the board. The next memories are fleeting, lines on the floor going by as they wheeled me into the hospital. Cold scissors going up the side of my legs as they cut my pants off. Apparently I was very angry with them ruining my new jeans. My parents told me that. They sent my sister and I to a big city hospital as the small hospital in Simcoe was not equipped to deal with our injuries, so they sent us to Victoria Hospital in London. My next memory was the near-death experience. I don't know exactly how much time had passed. I know now that I was in London. I was floating in the air over my bed. My father was beside the bed in a chair, his elbows resting on his knees, chin resting in his hands. He had on an off-white long-sleeved kind of dress shirt like they wore in the 70s, and somehow I knew that he was praying for me. I remember trying to make sense of the bars and ropes that were attached to me. My right leg was up in the air and a cast on my left. I remember thinking that I was looking down at me. Strange, I thought, why don't I care? I remember feeling intense love for my father, and then I was somewhere else. There were others there and the overwhelming sense of love surrounded me, kind of like putting on skin. It was just so much a part of me. I cannot describe the others, it was like they did not want me to see them. I remember one of them saying, "Look, she's here," and another turned and said, "You cannot stay here, it's not time." "That's okay," I said, "I want to stay." He came to me and took hold of both of my arms. "No," he said very clearly and slowly, "it's not time," and he proceeded to push me back down. I remember struggling with him, arguing, and wham, I was back in my body. I also remember the intense pain from my injuries and then black. I again had fleeting memories. I could not stay conscious for any amount of time for about the next 2 weeks. My parents told me later that they sat there for 3 agonizing days before the doctors finally told them, "Your girls are out of the woods." I spent 3 months in the hospital and my sister 4 months. They let her come home Christmas Eve. That was a great experience. I talked to my dad about it, probably about a month later. He listened to my entire story. I knew that he believed me, but he told me not to tell anyone as they would think that I was nuts. The whole experience changed my life. I was different. I could feel it. I had this big exciting secret. Little by little as time passed, other things happened to me. I now to this day have someone that talks to me and I hear it very clearly. Not all of the time, but in any situation where I can help someone. Once I was transported to a place where a 5-year-old child was dying. She had 2 angels with her waiting, but they let her have time to give me a message for her mom. That is another story in itself, amazing. And another young man who I knew that was killed in a truck roll over came to me 7 days almost to the time of the accident. He had a demon-like creature on his right with its hand on his shoulder and an angel on his left, right in my living room. He was terrified. I immediately went into this deep prayer, I don't know for how long, and when the moment broke and I looked up he smiled. The angel grabbed him around the waist and flew off with him. The demon thing hissed and snapped at me for a moment and flew off the other way. That too is another story. I know it sounds unbelievable, but it is so true. There are so many things like that have happened since. It is wonderful, but kind of lonely as I really can't talk too much about it. I even had a mouse like on the Green Mile movie. A wild field mouse came into my house and sat with me while I was going through a very hard time. Again, another story. But the clincher was that my sister came down to my house one day while I was away and killed it. Now I have a question for you. What happened to my sister? She is not the same, but the other way. She is not a nice person. She always was kind of mean and vindictive growing up, but after the car accident she started doing things to mess me up. It has gotten considerably worse over the years. I don't understand, but I stay away from her as much as possible. I have tried to talk to her so many times about these things, but she just puts me off, laughs at me and tells others that I am nuts. Oh well, I would much rather be me. Thank you for listening. It feels good to tell someone who gets it.